AEW Dynamite kicked off with a great 12-man tag, plus closed out the night with Jon Moxley defending his AEW World Championship against Darby Allin. What's up, everybody? Eric here from That's Wrestling. Thanks for tuning in to today's second news wire of the day. We'll be doing a rundown of AEW Dynamite. If you would like the full review of this show, tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern every Thursday, or since there's going to be some preemptions coming up, we'll have to see. But tune in for those, and we'll be doing a full rundown of the show. So the show just got right into it, starting off with the 12-man tag of FTR, the Young Bucks, Omega, and Hangman Page versus Brodie Lee, Evil Uno, Greyson, Colt, Cabana 5, and I believe it was 9. I am not really sure on that one, but this match was an awesome 12-man tag. It was not as much of a cluster as the 10-man last week, and this was a really, really fun match. Everybody hit their spots. Nick Jackson was amazing with doing this run-up hurricanrana off the top rope, and near the end of the match, we had Dax basically jamming his knee and needing to be brought to the back, which Cash and Hangman Page did. So it was down to the Elite for a little while by themselves, 3-on-6, until a returning Hangman came in. He ran wild, but eventually he was setting up for the buckshot lariat, but Brodie Lee ducked it. The Dark Order pulled the rest of the guys out of the ring, so Hangman was left by himself. Brodie Lee hits the spinning lariat and picked up the victory there. This was, like I said, a very, very good match, and a little subtle thing that I'm not sure people notice, but when the Dark Order was up on the stage celebrating, Colt Cabana had the Dark Order hand gesture, but he was kind of doing like a fist pump with it and then closed his fist. So it was very subtle if people were not looking for it, and it was right before they cut to commercial too. So interesting. Colt Cabana seems to be getting on board with the Dark Order now. Then there was a quick Moxley promo where he was basically talking about when he was younger, he wouldn't take advice from the vets around him, and he's going to give advice to Darby, but he's probably not going to take it either, to steer clear, and that it is his time, and when he's down, just stay down. Then we had Santana and Ortiz versus Best Friends. This was a very good match. The beginning of the match was very high speed from everybody. Eventually it slowed down while they were working on Trent for a while. He eventually got a Chucky T tag out, and then he ran wild. Chucky hit a Falcon Arrow and Soul Food on Ortiz for a 2 count at one point, but eventually Trent got set up into the street sweeper, but Chucky T pushed Santana off the top rope, and Trent rolled up Ortiz into the pin. Ortiz was stunned and pissed that they lost this match. Then we go to an update from MJF, and he goes into his campaign headquarters for being the AEW Heavyweight Champion, and there's posters everywhere. Everybody pretty much hates him. He freaks out over a slightly not level poster, and yeah. And then he's asked, so what happens if Darby Allin beats Moxley tonight and you have to face him for the AEW title? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to be real sad about having to face a 125-pound emo kid. And that was about it. And then we had a Matt Hardy promo. He comes out and says that he came to AEW to have basically creative control over his destiny, and that he was going to bring the multiverse of Matt Hardy's personas to AEW, but he's listened to the fans, and AEW listens to the fans, and they just want him to be Matt Hardy, so it looks like he's going to be dropping those gimmicks. He says that he wants to be a mentor, though, and he's been mentoring Private Party, and he wanted to mentor Sammy Guevara and get him away from Chris Jericho, but Sammy was not interested in listening, and he says that he pushed Sammy off the rope last week as payback for something Sammy did to him way back when he debuted as well. Sammy comes out, and they start brawling, and in the end, Matt ends up on a table. Sammy throws an open chair at Matt Hardy, and it gashes him open. Definitely was not supposed to happen. I've heard that he has gotten 10 stitches through this, and then Sammy Guevara gets up onto the stage and does a 450 rodeo splash, sort of. He did a half twist in there, so he landed actually on his back, so it was kind of weird. Through the table, and that was the end of the segment, but Matt Hardy was bleeding like crazy. It seems he got a bit of a stern talking to about what he did backstage, but that was about it. But yes, 10 stitches. 10 stitches for Matt Hardy from that. On the heels of Santana and Ortiz losing their match, we see them back in the parking lot, and they take a sledgehammer and other stuff to Trent's mom's car. They spray paint it and completely destroy all the windows, and that was about that. Then we have Matt Cardona making his in-ring debut, tagging with Cody versus John Silver and Alex Reynolds from the Dark Order. I thought this was a pretty solid match, but at one point, Cody slid under the bottom rope when he was getting thrown into the corner and caught his ribs on the post, and that was kind of the story of the match. He was selling his ribs basically the whole time, but Cardona comes in, he wrestles solid, nothing like the Zack Ryder that we've seen in the past. He hit what they are now calling Radio Silence, which used to be called Rough Rider, as his finish, and picked up the victory. After the match, though, Scorpio Sky was waiting for Cody in the entrance tunnel because he wants to challenge him for the TNT Championship. So that match is actually set up for next week. Then we have Best Friends in front of the destroyed car saying, hey, you can do whatever you want to us, but leave Trent's mom out of it. We said we would take care of the car, and now look at it. So we will have to deal with this. And that if they wanted a rematch, all they had to do was ask. And then we had Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho having their debate, and the special guest moderator was Eric Bischoff, which we had known for at least a few days now. They had 5 questions asked. And the first one was basically, why does Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy hate each other? Jericho talked throughout the whole thing. He just basically said that he was a loser. He was a pitbull on the ass of wrestling, and he's just an overall slacker, and he just doesn't like him. Orange Cassidy has nothing to say about that. They have a couple more questions. One of them was actually about global warming, and Jericho said, that's a stupid question, move on, that has nothing to do with anything. But Orange Cassidy gives this long-winded, fact-filled response to that, which was pretty funny. And then in the end, the last question was, why do you guys want to have this rematch so much? Why is it so important? And Orange Cassidy says it's important to him because it's the most important match of his life, but it's also Jericho's most important match because Jericho, it would be very embarrassing if you lost to the guy who wrestled with his hands in his pockets. And then Jericho's like, well, I'm just going to beat you up right now. And him and Jake Hager beat the crap out of Orange Cassidy to end the segment. Next, we had Tony with Britt Baker asking who Big Swole's opponent is going to be. And she ends up making it Reba, who has a short match with Big Swole. Reba, aka Rebel, which is her actual name, and Britt Baker just keeps calling her Reba. Anyways, Rebel wrestled like she had no idea what she was doing, even though that she is a wrestler, and they even mentioned it on commentary. So even not being in the ring for a long time would not excuse how this went down. It was kind of strange. I really hope this kind of went down as more of a gotcha type of moment, like they're just playing possum or something, and Rebel, suddenly did something awesome, but it did not go that way. Big Swole just picked up the win with Dirty Dancing in the end. And then we had the final match of the evening. It was Darby Allin taking on Jon Moxley for the AEW Championship. This was a solid match. It was a huge brawl. They just fight back and forth, and in the end, Darby mounts a little bit of a offense here. He spears Moxley out of the ring, does a huge dive, but they fight up onto the stage, and Moxley throws Allin off the stage. Allin flies into the ring post, and then Moxley's like looking at the ref like, are you gonna stop this match? Or you're gonna let it continue on? Anyways, it continues on, and in the end, Jon Moxley picks up the victory with the paradigm shift. As soon as he does it, though, he like pulls Darby into his arms because he didn't want to hurt, which seems to be a friend. So Moxley seems to have a friend now. And even on social media, there was actually a post-match promo cut by Jon Moxley that has just been shown over on social media, where he said that Darby Allin is persistent, and in the future he is going to have many titles, but not on his watch. That's just the way it is. And Moxley says, I know one of these days, though, Darby Allin is going to take me out. But today is not that day. And you're like me, you're a bit of a lone wolf, but you can ride with me whenever you want. And that was that. He also called out MJF about decking him with a championship belt in the middle of that match as well. So he's not too happy with MJF either. So that is going to play into probably the next few weeks as they head into their match at All Out on the 5th of September. So that was the rundown for AEW Dynamite this week. Thanks for tuning in to That's Wrestling. I'll see you later. See you guys.